Hi, I'm Brandy. This is Hound Dog Hollow, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on my very favorite book of astrology, Astrology for Yourself, a workbook for personal transformation. This is by Demetra George, which you may know from Mysteries of the Dark Moon, and also Douglas Bloch. It was written in 1987 from Ibis Press. This book made all the difference in my understanding of astrology. It is very good introduction for me. I loved it a lot. It really helped me understand everything, but also it helped it make it important and my ability to interpret my chart for myself. Because sometimes you have things that are very like, if your sun is in Leo, you're this. But, you know, that is somebody else's general idea of what a Leo is. And most of it is actually very, very true. But what I like about this book, and then I'm going to walk through with you, is that it actually really says, like, you could, like, this is your sun sign, this is the function of it, what do you think? And so I'm going to kind of go through that with you. I don't actually write in my books, even if they're workbooks, I don't write in my books. I journal all the answers in my Book of Shadows. So, you start off really basic 101, and that's what I like. It started off nice and slow. You know, why do I want to do astrology? What do I need to get started? How will I benefit from this? And it tells you, like, you know, you can mail in, because, I mean, this is from 1987, and get an astrology chart. For right now, go online, Cafe Astrology, or wherever, and get yourself a free natal chart. You can start right away. So, learning the basics. Thank you. Basics 101. So, the Zodiac, which they start with the Zodiac, which is the most, we all know, most people know what the Zodiac is. And it's just talking about the different signs. It starts with, like, the signs and their dates, the signs, their symbols, their energies, their principles, skillful application, which I really like. So instead of positive or negative, it's like if you skillfully apply this energy, it's going to be something like this. If you unskillfully apply this energy, it's going to be something like this, which I like better because sometimes some old-fashioned astrology books tend to, like, vilify characteristics of certain signs, and there's nothing like that. Every sign is good and every sign can be bad. Just like everything in life can be good and everything can be bad. And then it has simple exercises. What is your sun sign? Look it up. And then you go through the building blocks. You go through the elements. You talk about, like, what each element kind of represents. Air, social and mental. Water, emotional and soul. Earth, material. And then you go through the energies, keywords that are like attributes of fire, attributes of air, and you go through that. Then you have your little zodiac chart, which each fire. So Aries is a directive fire sign, and the main premise is identity, and so on and so forth. So then you say, my sun sign's element. You know your sun sign because you already looked it up in the first exercise. So in the second exercise, you're figuring out what's your element. And it asks you, if you see yourself using this energy skillfully, you are, so let's use me. I'm a Leo. When I'm being my best self, I am assertive, courageous, enthusiastic, creative, however you want. And so you put in these two words. I apply this unskillfully when I am hot-headed, impatient, impulsive, whatever two words you feel like really describe you. And then that's the beginning exercises. You're kind of learning how to see the your rendition, how you interpret your own chart. So then we talk about polarities, yin yang, your sun sign's polarity, and you talk about the exhale and the inhale, which somebody said there was a newer astrology book that kind of used this language, and they're like, oh, it's new age. It's not new age. This book is from 1987, and they were using inhale and exhale. They're just meaning directive, receptive, masculine, feminine, yin, yang, or yang, which is directive, and yin, which is receptive. It just means that. And so you have these different variations of saying that. And it goes through each of the building blocks like that with little exercises to make sure that you've got it. But it's building you up very slowly. And then it has like little charts. Some of these are just great. Gives you little activities to figure out like the elements and the modalities combined. And then you write up your own variation of your sun sign. And then you write complete sun sign interpretation. My sun is in this sign. The element is this. The polarity is this. Blah, 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 blah. Then you could have optionally write a journal entry about how you feel about that. Then it goes through your birth chart, right? What each of these things mean in the chart that you got, how to find your planets in your chart, how to read this chart that you've gotten from some website or from some mail-in service at the time, whatever. And so like intercepted signs, that never came up in the other book that I reviewed, the only astrology book you'll ever need, even though it was pertinent to me because I don't have Aries or Libra on my natal chart. They're both missed. And it tells you about like what that means. And also what does it mean when a planet is retrograde on your chart. And basically how can you find all your things. It shows you step by step. And then this is one of my favorite pages where you just put like, my sun is Leo in the 5th house. And just go through all of that. You could even draw your own birth chart if you felt like it. And then it has key phrases for each energy. It has planet key phrases. Has all of these charts and information. Everything's super simple, super laid out. And then you start the work. So the main emphasis of your personality in your chart is your sun, moon, and your ascendant. And it goes through extensively on how to interpret those and how to synthesize those. Talks about the ascendant, descendant, the IC, and the midheaven. And you go through all of those for yourself. And then you start talking about your planets. Where is your sun? What does that mean? So then you find your sun in your chart. This is what it means. You read through this. And then you fill this out for your personal chart. And there's tables and stuff that you look at. And it gives you these words. And you really have to think like, am I this? Am I that? Like, what am I? And it goes through that for your moon, for your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Then when it gets to these generational planets, it kind of talks about what that means and how they're orbiting through the zodiac and how long they stay. And then you go and you do those exercises for those planets as well. It talks about the asteroids, which a lot of mainstream astrology doesn't get to, and I don't usually use, but you know, Chiron, your Ceres, Pallas, Vesta, Juno, and talks about other different asteroids that it's optional for a beginner, but you might want to find. Psyche, Eros, Lilith, Taureau, Sappho, Amor, Pandora, Icarus, Diana, Hidalgo. These are just different asteroids that you may want to look up for your own, for a depth of your reading. Work signs and love signs. Again, kind of like the other book, it's just saying my sun sign's vocational potential, and then just different jobs that suit your sun sign. But always the work is on you. Like, it's always in context of yourself, not some generic person. This is in your, it pertains specifically to you. It's designed that way. So, and it goes through your 6th house or your 2nd house or your midheaven and how all of those interact to kind of describe what kind of vocation suits you. Then relationships, of course, and you can compare your birth charts and your partner's birth charts, and it tells you how you can do that. And then we talk about compatibility, connectedness. Then it dives deep, and this is deep. I don't usually dig into this stuff because it's so deep. this part I get through. So the horizon and the meridian, obviously we talked about the hemispheres and the emphasis in the last book, but this is a different take on that and what it means. And, you know, like, are you a public person or a private person? Are you an active person or a responsive person? Like, it just, and it's based on how many of your planets are on what side, like where the weight is of your chart. It talks about the dragon and the tail, so the nodes and the moon, and what they mean. The part of fortune, the different phases of the moon in your chart, and then it goes through a sample chart. And it even has this little wheel that you can use for yourself. You can make one. Retrograde planets, intercepted signs, and then planetary patterns and aspects. This is a little bit more advanced, you know, but it has a nice diagram. So like, if your planets are in conjunction, they're in the same sign. If they're sextile, they're 60 degrees apart. If they're square, they're 90 degrees. If they're trine, they're 120, and so on and so forth. And then it talks about the aspects that exist in your chart and how you're looking through it and how to interpret those. And so for the Cafe Astrology, it will tell you your aspects. It will list them all for you, and then you can work through this section for yourself. It's very interesting, and it's a very in-depth interpretation of your chart, and it helps you learn to do this for yourself. Or if you pulled up your husband's chart or your partner's chart or your friend's chart or your child's chart or your dog's chart, you could do that for other people. But it's giving you the skills to do astrology for yourself. Astrological timing and transits. I've never been able to grasp transits. So it teaches you all of that. And how important each transit is. And I'm probably going to review that again before I'm done with this year. Just so I can have, like, I'm going to try and strengthen my understanding of that because it's really weak right now. And then basically just other applications. Do you want to talk about astropsychology, vocational astrology, the astrology of relationships or synastry, medical astrology, or the different parts of your body that's ruled by different zodiac signs, raising your children, timing events, moon planting guide, which is very good. This is one of the main ways that I use astrology, and just like starting a new business, mundane astrology. This comprises the study of birth charts of countries, states, world leaders, and events. Astroeconomics, which a lot of people really like. It's kind of like trying to predict, forecast. Historical astrology, horary astrology. It's a little bit complicated. I'm not going to explain it. And then just tons of ways that you can sum up what you've learned. And then all these appendices full of great information. So this, I feel like, really, really is a very broad spectrum book. It goes from the very basic 101 intro. You could pick up this book and know what you're doing, and not know anything. You could pick up this book not knowing anything, and it would guide you through competence and even into intermediacy, and lead you and guide you into the direction or resources you might want to check out if you wanted to try to master a segment or something that particularly interested you about astrology. So I highly recommend this book. I love this book. I use this book constantly. It is a favorite of mine, and that's my review. So as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. I love you guys so much. I hope to talk to you soon.